The first time I saw the heavy machinery roll up to my property, I thought it was a mistake. My land, 40 acres of pristine woodland and marsh, a place I had carefully maintained for years, wasn't just some empty lot. It was a protected wetland. Frogs croaked in the springtime, herons nested in the tall grasses, and every morning I'd wake to the soft hum of insects rising with the mist. It wasn't just my home. It was a living, breathing ecosystem. But try telling that too. Karen, the president of our HOA, had always had a bone to pick with me. She hated that I owned more land than anyone else in the neighborhood, hated that I didn't bow to her endless rules about mailbox colors and aesthetic uniformity. But most of all, she hated that my property wasn't just a lawn and a white picket fence. It was wild, natural, and beautiful in a way she couldn't control. So when I saw bulldozers backing into the marsh, I sprinted outside in disbelief. "Hey, what are you doing?" I shouted, waving my arms. A construction worker leaned out of the cab, shrugged and pointed toward the street. "Talk to her. She's the one who hired us." And there she was. Karen stood smugly at the edge of my driveway, sunglasses perched on her nose, HOA clipboard in hand. "We're filling in this swamp," she said with a dismissive flick of her wrist. "It's a breeding ground for mosquitoes, and it's lowering the property values in the neighborhood. Once it's filled, we can turn it into a community garden." I nearly choked. "This isn't a swamp, it's a federally protected wetland. You can't just Karen cut me off with a scoff. Oh, please. It's an eyesore." And the HOA voted in favor of improvements. "Don't worry, we'll compensate you for your weeds." I felt the blood rush to my face. This wasn't just about Met. It was about the land, the wildlife, and the law. And Karen had no idea the storm she had just unleashed. I immediately called the police. When the officers arrived, Karen put on her best concerned citizen act. "Oh, officer, it's just a bit of landscaping. We're trying to improve the neighborhood, and this gentleman is being difficult," she said sweetly. The officers, unsure of what to do, shrugged it off as a civil matter. But I knew better. This wasn't just civil, it was federal. That night, I spent hours digging through my property records. Sure enough, my wetlands were registered with the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. They weren't just protected, they were untouchable. Any attempt to drain, fill, or alter them without federal permits was a massive violation of environmental law. So I filed a complaint, a very thorough complaint. I included pictures of the bulldozers, Karen giving orders, the mounds of dirt already dumped into the marsh. I cited every statute I could find about wetland protections and illegal land alteration. And then I sent copies not only to the EPA, but also to the state environmental agency, the county zoning board, and just for good measure, the local news station. If Karen wanted a war, she had just declared it on the wrong person. The next week, I woke up to the sound of more machinery. Despite my warnings, Karen had doubled down. Piles of gravel and dirt had been dumped across the edge of the marsh. Cattails and reeds were crushed. A pair of egrets that had nested there for years were gone. My stomach twisted with rage. I stormed outside, phone in hand, recording everything. "Karen, I told you this was illegal," I shouted. She smirked. "What's illegal is you letting this mosquito pit sit here. I have the support of the board, and once the garden is in, everyone will thank me." "Except the EPA," I shot back. She rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. The government doesn't care about a puddle in your backyard." That was the moment I realized she truly had no idea what she had stepped into. 2 weeks later, bright white. Trucks with federal logos pulled into the neighborhood. 3 officials in hard hats and safety vests stepped out, clipboards in hand. I nearly cheered. Karen, however, looked blindsided. She strutted over to them, trying to assert her authority. "Hello. I'm the president of the HOA," she began, shaking hands like a politician. "We've been working on a beautification project here, just cleaning up this swamp." One of the agents cut her off. "Ma'am, this is a protected wetland under Section 404 of the Clean Water Act. Can you explain why heavy machinery is being used to fill it in without a permit?" The color drained from Karen's face. "Well, I mean, it's for the community. It's not like it's dangerous or anything." The agent's expression was stone cold. "It's a federal offense. For the next hour, the officials took measurements, photographed the damage, and questioned the construction crew. I stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching Karen's empire crumble in real time. The fallout within a month, HOA was slapped with a cease and desist order. Construction halted, and the half-filled marsh sat as an ugly scar across my property, a daily reminder of Karen's arrogance. But then came the big one. The EPA sent an official notice, a $500,000 fine for unlawful filling of federally protected wetlands. The HOA board was in chaos. Members who had once blindly followed Karen now turned on her instantly. Emergency meetings were called. Neighbors shouted at one another in the clubhouse. And through it all, Karen tried desperately to wriggle out of blame. "This isn't my fault. I was trying to help the neighborhood," she wailed. But no one was buying it. The paper trail was clear. She had authorized the work. She had hired the contractors, and she had ignored every warning. The board voted unanimously to remove her as president, and then they sued her personally for the damages. The last time I saw Karen, she was standing in her driveway, screaming into her phone while movers loaded boxes into a truck. Her once pristine lawn was overgrown, her perfect flower beds wilted. Word around the neighborhood was that she had to sell her house to cover legal fees. Meanwhile, the EPA began a restoration project on my wetlands. They brought in specialists to replant native grasses and restore the water flow. Within months, the marsh was alive again, frogs croaking, birds nesting, dragonflies hovering above the reeds. It was as if nature itself was reclaiming victory. Neighbors, who once ignored me, started stopping by, apologizing for siding with Karen. We didn't realize how bad it was, they admitted. I accepted their apologies with a polite smile, though deep down, I couldn't help but feel a quiet satisfaction. Karen had tried to destroy something precious, something irreplaceable. Instead, she destroyed herself. This whole ordeal taught me something important. People like Karen thrive on intimidation, on making others believe they have power they don't. She thought she could bulldoze not just my land but me. But all it took was one well-documented complaint, one refusal to back down. And the weight of the law came crashing down on her. The marsh still stands today, more vibrant than ever. And every time I hear the frogs sing at dusk, I remember the day the mighty Karen was humbled not by me, by the very laws she thought she could ignore. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't shouting or fighting. It's simply letting Carman, in this case, the EPA, do what they do best. And that $500,000 fine? Let's just say, it bought me the sweetest peace and quiet I've ever known. Asterisk, this story is just the beginning. There is so much more ahead. Subscribe to the channel to join me on this journey.